Ukrainian Southern Defense Forces managed to take out 2 stations operating the high-value Borysaglebsk-2 electronic warfare system. The system is so modern and high-tech that it is allegedly worth $200 million. Swedish newspaper Svenska Dagbladet claimed that the United States and NATO are concerned that the F-35 fighter aircraft may not stand up against new Russian electronic warfare systems, although most of the specs of Borysaglebsk-2 are still classified. Russian forces launched airstrikes on Kherson's central district, killing at least 1 person and injuring several others, reported the city military administration chief Roman Mrachko. Among the injured was a 70-year-old woman who was hospitalized with blast-related injuries, while a 61-year-old man was wounded by shrapnel when at home. On Telegram, Mrachko noted that he himself came under fire, adding that Russian forces continued to fire on the area after the initial strikes, delaying response efforts. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and presidential envoy Steve Witkoff will visit Paris this week, according to a Politico article published on April 16. Sources familiar with the matter said discussions will focus on Ukraine. Witkoff is set to meet with French President Macron, while Rubio will engage with the French Foreign Minister. Meanwhile, the White House press secretary emphasized that the meetings in France are particularly significant following Witkoff's recent visit to Moscow, where he discussed a potential ceasefire in Ukraine with Russian leader Putin. In an interview with Fox on April 14, Witkoff said the talks focused on ending the war in Ukraine through a deal centered around the control of 5 territories.
This was mentioned this morning, this visit by both Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff to France for discussions. Obviously, all Middle Eastern issues will be on the table. This is a moment of preparation for the shared desire of all states to move towards a lasting peace in the Middle East.
Russia killed more Ukrainians during the 22-day US-brokered ceasefire than in the 22 days prior. The Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation reported on April 15 that 72 civilians were killed in 8 Russian attacks during the supposed ceasefire. This counts for a 2.5 times higher death toll when comparing the 2 periods. The agency noted that while the ceasefire was intended to halt hostilities, Russia's attacks on Ukrainian civilians continued, highlighting the increased risks the population had to face throughout the truce period. President Zelenskyy met with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in Odesa on April 15, according to a report by Ukrinform. Zelenskyy stated that the discussion focused on Ukraine's need for air defense and to unite and find the funds to purchase Patriot systems. Only the matter of decision-making by world leaders determines whether Ukraine will have enough protection from Russian ballistic threats, Zelenskyy said. Rutte condemned the Russian attacks on Ukraine's civilian infrastructure and expressed his condolences to the families of the victims in Sumy and Kryvyi Rih.
These discussions are not easy, not least in the wake of this horrific violence. But we all support President Trump's push for peace. Other allies, including through efforts led by France and the United Kingdom, are ready, willing and able to shoulder more responsibility in helping to secure peace when the time comes. Slava Ukraini.